In this scene then, which I set up in another tutorial, I've already got the textures assigned to various family groupings, so I thought I would take advantage of that to do a short video about converting this into a more stylized render. To do this, what I'm going to do is select all the light sources I got set up before and get rid of those. In the render options, I'm just going to switch to regular, and here in sky and fog I'm going to reset the sky. So now I've reset everything, just do a few more setup things. Atmosphere off, set the sky to fully black. In the Skylab I'm going to turn the shadows off completely and turn the diffuse value off and rotate the sun up so it's to the top left. So that's things set up ready to modify the materials now. As a result of resetting the sky, I've got ambience set at the grey colour, and I'm going to start with the hair. So this is the hair, and modify the material, and I'm going to turn the diffuse off and put ambient specular in and give it ambient and specular. Now when the specular halo is set at full value, hold the Alt key down and click on the colour swatch and then select HLS. The luminance value here controls this specular halo size. So if I set that down, it won't have such a harsh transition, although for other materials that harsh transition is going to be useful. In this case I'm going to use a combination of specularity and anisotropy to create a stripe on the hair, so to create a sort of a very stylized hair effect here. So the shadow regions are lit with ambient, which is quite flat, and then we've got this stylized pattern on the hair. For the skins, so that's the face, and also we're going to do the bikini. So select the face, the torso, limbs, bikini top, bikini bottoms, all together. Go into the material lab. Now as a result of selecting them all together, they'll have the material applied from the first thing that was selected, which in this case was the face. So I'm going to modify all these things together, and then I'm going to have to modify each one in turn so it's got the appropriate texture applied to it. So we'll just start by getting rid of the diffuse, putting in the ambient and the specular. So that's the ambient and the specular. I'll get rid of this bump, don't need that. Getting rid of anisotropy, get rid of reflection, and then set the specular halo right up. So we can see that we've got this very bright area with a sharp transition, possibly a bit too bright for the light we've got, so I'll turn that down. So we've got a lighter skin area and a darker skin area. So if I check out of that, you can now see that we've got the face right, but all these other components here have just got the face applied. So to correct that, I'll just select each one in turn. So if we select the torso, modify the material, go into the texture source editor, pick out the torso, then we've got the limbs, same procedure, find the limbs, check out of that, bikini top, material lab, bikini top, and then bikini bottoms, material lab, texture source editor, pick them out, check out, and that will have corrected those textures. So there's just now the blocks that she sat on to sort out. So, and the things in the background. Select the blocks, material lab, specular and ambient the same, get rid of diffuse, turn up ambient, turn up specular, give the specular halo its full value, gives us that sharp edge, and we'll just have a look how that looks. So that's put the blocks in, and then for the background, what I've found is if I select cube and the plane, go into material lab and apply the same process. So if we go ambient, specular, specular halo, ambient, and send that right up there. So I've set it up the same as the other materials essentially. What happens is because they're infinite flight, we get these strange lines that don't really correspond to anything much really. So that's not really the most appropriate choice, and I can't differentiate between the ground and the back wall. So if I treat those slightly differently, get hold of the Q here, I'll reset that material and I'll just use ambient. So if I make the wall fully white ambient, and then the floor, reset that material, get rid of diffuse, turn on ambience, and then use half grey ambience for the floor, that in turn will allow me to differentiate between the floor and the wall without that peculiar diagonal line appearing on the pair of them. So there you go, that's a very simple setup to change the characteristics of this render to a more stylized pattern. And obviously the appearance of the scene, you can render it very quickly depending on the speed of your computer, but it's still going to render fairly quickly just by moving this the sun round, and you get different effects. So I hope you found that interesting. That's the end of the tutorial.